So if you weren't lying, are you such an idiot that you should have been fired then? And then how do you maintain this job security to become the highest paid unelected official in Washington, D.C.? That's the swamp. Let's go on to this pardon thing. So, Joe Biden, former Vice President Joe Biden, he pardoned Hunter Biden. Okay, we all know that.
Wow.
But now this has come out that he will be potentially preemptively pardoning a bunch of people, notably Anthony Fauci. We'll get to that in a second. Some people are saying he can't do that. There is some historical precedence here. But this is pretty interesting because you're seeing this kind of civil war, these fractures on the left. Charlemagne was talking about this, and he called out the ladies, I'm using that term loosely, of The View.
All of the criticism is valid because, Democrats stand on this moral high ground.
Does he think that we don't know he's had work done to make him look like Xerxes? Like everyone can tell.
Well, Xerxes was a god. He's a god, I guess.
That's right. Charlemagne, the god.
They all wear makeup.
All right.
Really?
Let's see.
Except the real one.
All the time. And, they act so self-righteous. The reality is he didn't have to say anything in regards to, whether or not, his son wanted to be pardoned. He could have said, hey, man, I'm not focused on that right now. But since they were calling Trump a threat to democracy and they were saying that, nobody's above the law, but they were speaking about him, that's what they were running on. So when he kept saying things like, nobody's above the law, I respect, the jury's decision in regards to my son, he didn't believe that. But he didn't have to volunteer that lie to begin with.
I'm going to stop you for a second.
You have brittle bones and you're old and fat. You're not stopping anything.
Only because you don't know that it was a lie. We don't know why he changed
You really think he just changed his mind over Thanksgiving weekend all of a sudden?
No, at some point you get to the place where you just go, so I'm just going to follow the straight and narrow always, because that's what's expected of Democrats.
Oh, come on.
Their fault. They're the ones that go out. They're the ones that go out there and they stand on this moral high ground. They don't have to do that. Well, I don't think people are flipping out with Joe. I think Democrats are flipping out with Joe because Democrats believe that they don't represent what he's currently representing. But that's just not true. That's why I say they stand on this moral high ground that simply does not exist.
But that's not a monolith. We're not, Democrats are not a monolith.
Yeah, you are, you dumb twat.
And why can't Republicans say Republicans are wrong?
I'll tell you when Democrats are wrong.
So you don't think Joe Biden is wrong?
No, I don't. And can I just point this out to you?
Now that Trump has won, you say that you don't think cable news will ever truly cover him honestly again. Why?
Not even just cable news, no network. Nobody, because they didn't do it before, so why would they do it now? They're scared to death. He's the president of the United States of America.
Have you watched The View?
What about you?
Well, let's be honest. Sonny, I saw you have to apologize a couple times last week, so somebody's coming with some notes from downstairs.
I'm not apologizing.
Okay.
I'm making a legal note as an attorney of law.
That's right.
Oh my God, they're children.
You're always a particularly good attorney when you have to remind us.
Yeah.
Wait, she's
Your Honor, I'm an attorney. Oh, I forgot. I just thought you were a dumb bimbo for a second there. Can I see your degree? This is just, this show is, and by the way, I think that Charlemagne, the God, T-H-A, there's a little bit of self-preservation here now, because he kind of went all in on quite a bit of the social justice causes, and now he realizes
Kamala
that it's been...
didn't really hold her feet to the fire until later on, and now, look, he's making a completely reasonable point, and all he's saying is like,
Couple of them.
Pardon it, fine. But to go out and say that you're not going to, and that you respect us, and to run on that was his point. That's what everybody needed to focus on. He ran on that against Donald Trump. Now nobody believes the lie, and then you've got Whoopi saying, hold on.
Well, he doesn't always have to stay on the straight and narrow. Yes, because when I think the Biden family, I think straight and narrow.
Or Democrats in general. I don't think either party stays on the straight and narrow all the time. Like that's not what's expected. But you can't just keep lying to us and expect us to believe you next time.
No.
Well, but the Republicans don't run on you. They don't say.
No, I know.
They don't say they're the moral end all.
No.
The Democrats, that's their fucking motto for the last 100 years.
Well, remember,
they're full of shit.
When Donald Trump, it was what changed American history. This answer to the question of the debate with Hillary Clinton, where he said, the system's rigged. And she goes, oh, yeah, well, he goes, yeah, I used the system. Why didn't you change the laws?
Yeah.
He said, you rigged the system. And yep, I know it's rigged. It's rigged because I use it. He was being very straightforward about it. But that's the difference, right? I think that when people say Donald Trump is authentic, you see him for all of us with all of his flaws as well. Whereas the Bidens try and go out and act like they're choir boys.
Yeah.
The honesty has been now called authentic.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're being honest, you're authentic.
It's because everyone on the left, they're so afraid of cancel culture. They have to say, when people used to complain about the Christian right, for example, like South Park. The Christian right just didn't want South Park on in primetime. And you know who agreed with the creators of South Park? They said, yeah, we should be on, this is an adult show, a late night show. They weren't trying to ban it.
Right.
Today, it's not about the FCC, the left, it's an entire, everyone, all the viewers, everyone with the blog who's a liberal has become the FCC. That's the censorship culture. And so they have to fake who they are. Let's be honest, Kamala Harris is someone whose greatest qualification was blowing a mayor. And you want to believe...
And not even a white one.
No.
By the way, keep an eye out for that line of defense. Like, that's what I've heard from like people like Destiny and now obviously Whoopi and other people online saying, well, if they don't play by the rules, we don't have to. And so they're making this kind of claim that Republicans don't play by the rules. You can argue that, but then the idea that we don't have to follow the straight and narrow because they don't, that leads to a lot of very crazy things. If you follow that logic down, no, they don't believe in this, so we should just pack the Supreme Court. Oh, they don't believe in that, so we should just do whatever the hell we want. It basically becomes licensed to do anything that you want to do, and it's because the other side is so bad that I have to do this, even though I know it's wrong, to make sure that we don't have the other side do all the bad stuff that they aren't even doing.
Think about this for a second. People think they have the moral high ground. Let's just take the entire panel of The View. Let's take the entire DNC. Okay, you have people who support abortion up until and including birth without exceptions, period. You have people who believe that Americans shouldn't be responsible for the degrees they get. They shouldn't be responsible for paying the debt that they accrue. They shouldn't be responsible for the houses they signed a contract to pay for. These are people who they believe that children should be able to have permanent sexual reassignment surgery, and that could start as early as 2 when we talked about Strangio yesterday. And these same people tell you that you are immoral because you said a naughty word. We're talking about people who had international corrupt business dealings with foreign governments, the Bidens, and they say you're bad because Donald Trump said a bad word on a TMZ snippet. Like, really, I think we're past that. That's the beauty of this.
Somebody can go on that show and just go, any of you broads here, when's the last time you were wrong about anything?
Right.
Just ask them right to their face. Whoopi, when's the last time you said something?
Yeah.
When's the last time you were wrong about anything?
Yeah, and they'll always tell you, well, I admit when I'm wrong. I did it. I do it all the time. Well, do it now.
Yeah.
Well, I can't think about it. We have an admonish button right here. I'm sure I've been wrong about something today. Toolman, hit the admonish button. Just
for funsies.
Let's do it preemptively. Just admonish me because I'll say something wrong.
Admonish.
I also like it.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it feels nice.
It's like a prenuptial.
Which brings us to a preemptive pardons, because this was reported from Politico, okay, that Joe Biden is considering preemptive pardons. Boy, it's a far cry from I won't pardon my son to no, I'm going to preemptively. I'm going to
everybody.
I'm going to Minority Report pardon people.
It's
pardon the swamp.
Nice.
It's Politico. Who listens to the Spanish?
Yes. So this is what they said. They said Biden's aides are deeply concerned about a range of current and former officials who could find themselves facing inquiries and even indictments. Oh, I wonder why they might be concerned about facing inquiries.
Right.
Oh, is that because because you were the former vice president when the DOJ decided to indict and prosecute your political opponent for, by the way, doing the exact same thing you did, except his were locked up, and we're just talking about classified documents? It's something that should be talked about more. We have a direct apples-to-apples comparison on the classified documents. One of them had them locked up, but they said weren't labeled classified. That was the big controversy. The other one had them next to his Corvair. They say a sense of alarm, which has only accelerated since Trump last weekend announced the appointment of Kash Patel to lead the FBI. Patel has publicly vowed to pursue Trump's critics.
No, that is a lie.
It is a lie.
Trump, of course. Listen, I'm sorry. Go pull what Kash Patel said. He's not saying I'm going to go after people who criticize Donald Trump.
No.
I'm going to go after people who have been coming after Donald Trump and have broken the law.
That's right.
That you should be very afraid with anybody coming into office. If you have broken the law, you should be terrified that they're going to come after you.
Now, here's the thing. They're talking about pardons for a list of people. And these aren't just critics of Donald Trump. It includes Adam Schiff, Liz Cheney, Anthony Fauci. We'll do a segment here on Anthony Fauci because he deserves special attention.
He does.
But Adam Schiff and Liz Cheney, I don't know if you know this, their lies have resulted in people being in prison for crimes they didn't commit. You think that deserves an inquiry? People who were there on January 6th, who never committed an assault, who never trespassed, who were invited in for a walking tour, have been held in prison without bail. Does that warrant an inquiry? And these people had the footage and suppressed it and withheld the footage. Yep. And they allowed everyone in this country to say January 6th, it's 9/11 harder, right? It's the worst day in American history. But you have people, whether you whether you think January 6th was the abomination that the left does, or if you think it's blown out of proportion, it doesn't change the fact that people who committed 0 crimes were held in prison for a very long time without bail because of these people.
People committed suicide because of trumped up charges from this.
Yeah.
There's stories about that. Like,
yep.
It's real stuff. People that were not there to do any harm.
Yes. That is, and by the way, we're talking about Fauci. We have some tweets here, ex-posts from Elon Musk. They have not been shy about going after Fauci, not because he's been critical of Donald Trump, but because he's committed crimes against humanity, arguably. So Elon Musk said in December 2022, my pronouns are prosecute Fauci. And people said this was wrong. It was irresponsible. So in November of this year, he said, my pronouns are still prosecute Fauci.
Wow, he really backpedaled.
Yeah. And do you sense that? Do you sense the new tone in the air? Let's just stop trying to appease these people. Appeasing crocodiles.
I want to see people go to jail.
Yeah, me too.
Then I'll be excited. Until then, it's still just fucking words from the right.
And I don't mean critics. I don't want to see anyone go to jail for saying naughty things. I want to see people go to jail for committing crimes, for committing legitimate crimes against humanity. So let's go to Fauci really quickly, because this is the framing of the left is, well, this is just going to be a political prosecution. No, that would be the trumped up charges, admittedly from the DOJ themselves against Donald Trump to render him ineligible. But let's go to the claim here on Fauci. All references available, link in the description. Fauci said himself that he did absolutely nothing wrong.
Are you concerned if Donald Trump were to become president again, that you or aides to you during this time might be prosecuted or face additional consequences for what happened during the pandemic?
Well, what did happen?
Well, Casey, I don't know what one would prosecute me for. I mean, figure something out. What are we talking about? I mean, as a public health official, a scientist, I played a major role in the development of the vaccine that was responsible for the saving of millions of lives. So if that's what you're accusing me of, then I'm definitely guilty of that. But I'm not sure what people talk about when they say prosecute. For what?
So basically, in a nutshell, his claim is, I'm guilty of caring too much. All right, here's the truth. Anthony Fauci is potentially, I would argue absolutely, is guilty of many, many crimes, serious crimes, and not crimes that, you maybe undervalued some real estate because you wanted to save money on property taxes, but everyone was happy, including the bank who was paid back. I mean, crimes that irreparably destroyed lives of people across this country. But let's start with a couple that are concrete before we go broad. Really clear, really easy to prove, lied to Congress about gain-of-function research.
Dr. Fauci, knowing that it is a crime to lie to Congress, do you wish to retract your statement of May 11th where you claimed that the NIH never funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan?
Senator Paul, I have never lied before the Congress, and I do not retract that statement.
Take an animal virus and you increase its transmissibility to humans. Right. You're saying that's not gain-of-function?
Yeah, that is correct. And Senator Paul, you do not know what you are talking about, quite frankly.
Oh, I'm getting snippy. There's going to be a new Nick at Night special called That's So Me. You do not know what you are talking about. Well, I'm describing research that can actually mutate artificially in a lab, engineering a virus. You think that's gain of function? Yes.
Yes.
You don't know nothing. Really? This is gain of function. Fauci knew about it as early as January 2020. Right. That there was gain of function research going on in Wuhan. And that's been confirmed. We covered this yesterday by the subcommittee, the select subcommittee
and when
on
this
COVID.
Came out, like people found this out very quickly. When it came out, it was always a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Right. That you're connecting all these dots here. No. It's a conspiracy. It never actually happened.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. There's no way for him to get out from under that lie. None whatsoever.
And here's the thing, too, when he says, I've never lied. This is really, because it is a binary. The answer has to come from one of two. It's a binary choice here. Okay, so you never lied. So when you were the primary source that Oprah cited, that I believe it was 1 in 3 heterosexual couples would be affected by HIV in the 1990s, and that people could transmit HIV through household items because it could live on surfaces. So if you weren't lying, are you such an idiot that you should have been fired then? And then how do you maintain this job security to become the highest paid unelected official in Washington, D.C.? That's the swamp, right? Someone like this commits crimes. Nothing will happen to them unless someone like Donald Trump, opens up an inquiry. Also, Fauci and Francis Collins, you remember this? They likely conspired to silence other scientists. You remember the Great Barrington Declaration. And of course, they played a key role in removing voices online. You can say I have a personal vendetta because that happened with us. By the way, we were banned from YouTube for 2 weeks for citing the CDC. Oh, right now on CNN, let's see what they discussed. They have these three assheads pictures up.
But certainly in the Constitution, it is provided that members of Congress may not be held
just jump out of a
to
pool?
any other place for their
Look at Jim
legislative
Acosta
work.
looking at her tits.
If there was an effort to pursue either the members of Congress or the staff who were doing legislative work, that would be wrong. Ultimately, it would fail. But of course, it could cause
Riveting.
a lot of upset,
Right,
which is
yeah,
probably.
great. By the way, this is the same party that said that Donald Trump didn't have presidential immunity for acts taken as president, which of course everyone knows.
They didn't know how to read the Constitution.
Yeah, they didn't know how to read the
In their defense, the Supreme Court didn't make this thing happen. They read it and said, hey, page 5.
There's nothing consistent about the left today. By the way, as far as the victims, we'll make these references available. You may have forgotten this. A lot of people, 600,000 businesses closed forever, right? Because of COVID guidelines that were by and large set by Fauci. There's a 38% increase in alcohol-related deaths. There were 1.18 million excess deaths due to denial of medical care during the epidemic. If you remember that, they weren't seeing people in hospitals. People couldn't get cancer screenings. There are 55 million children out of school for far longer than necessary because of the influence from the teachers union. Suicide rates went up between 2020 and 21. Depression rates went up by 3 times the previous rate. All of which, by the way, was being predicted by other doctors and other scientists who, that's right, were suppressed. You've done nothing wrong? Take what Nick just said about The View, apply it to Fauci. What mistakes did you make, sir? What would you do differently? These people never have to answer for it.
Yeah. His answer basically was, what, are they going to prosecute me for being too good at my job?
Right.
By making the vaccine? I was like, that's the most pompous answer that I have ever heard from somebody.
And he's taking
humility.
And he's taking credit for something where we haven't seen the final. People, we know.
Yeah.
Heart problems, kidney problem, people dropping dead at 28.
Yeah.
And he's taking credit for it.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to tell me he doesn't know those numbers?
And you know what? Can people out there,
he really is an evil.
Even if you like Fauci, even if you're a leftist who still wears a mask by yourself in your car, and you're my enemy if you do that, can you at least acknowledge he's a weasel? He's a turncoat weasel. He was working there with Donald Trump, and I remember watching him on a show where someone said, you had a president then who told people to inject bleach. And he's like, it was very frustrating. How about you say, I was there, he didn't say that. You may not like him, he's difficult to work with, but Donald Trump, President Trump, never said to inject bleach. Instead, he went along with it.
Right.
He's an untrustworthy rat. Now, this brings us, though, to the question, and there's a lot of speculation out there, can former Vice President Biden even legally pardon people preemptively like this? And the answer, though, is yes. Yes, he can.
Yeah.
So
it's been done a lot.
It's been done a lot. Let me give you some examples. 1974, Gerald Ford pardoned Nixon. Right, Watergate, that was one.
Healing a nation.
He was preemptively pardoned prior to being charged or indicted. A lot of people don't necessarily remember that. 1977, Carter pardoned a bunch of Vietnam draft dodgers. Right, I guess about 360,000. They were preemptively pardoned.
Wow.
Prior to being charged. In 1992, George H.W. Bush pardoned a guy named Caspar Weinberger in connection to Iran-Contra. So this has happened, again, before trial, before charges were brought, even going back to 1865, Andrew Johnson pardoned Confederate soldiers, provided they pledged loyalty to the United States and agreed to free any slaves that they owned. Unfortunately, they did have their fingers crossed.
So we should have known.
Yeah.
Look behind, hands up, guys.
You can't have a perfect record.
Right. That's
right. And when these guys like Fauci at the beginning of his career, he knows when he's working for the administration. They're aware of pardons at the end of their term. Wouldn't that affect your behavior as far as lying?
Yeah.
And you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly right. You don't tell them. You do it. You don't give them the warning like, okay, I'm going to preemptively pardon. So like have a little case of senioritis on your way out.
Yeah.
No, but this is the party of law and order. That was what they were running on. Remember, law and order.
That's right. And that's the difference between them and Republic. They run on it. That's their mantra. morally superior. That's
Right.
where they start when you have a discussion with a liberal.
Yeah.
They are morally superior. And you know, Republicans don't do that. They break the law and shit too, but they don't run on that they're angels.
Of course. Yeah.
And I don't want us to become a party or a system where we start prosecuting the other side after the term. Like, I don't want that. But what I do want is when it's clear as day. Did you just break your mug?
I got water all over myself.
We're going to need a towel. When it's clear as day that the law has been broken, though, and a report comes out and says, yes, they broke the law, but Comey, no reasonable person would bring this. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
No reasonable prosecutor would do this. We had people lying before Congress. There's multiple people on the other side that have done that. And then also, my favorite one from Hers report is that he's just too old and too stupid to be prosecuted, but he's president. So, you know, I guess that's okay.
I agree with the first portion.
I understand.
I did, by the way, I can't use my notes.
Well, you don't really make any notes.
It smudged your whole note yesterday about Mercedes and black babies. I'm have to put it in the old noggin. And where do you go when we're talking about Fauci? But then we also talk about the weaponizing of the DOJ. Where do you go when you have big tech colluding with government to suppress any type of dissent, to suppress points of view? Okay. Do you go to the justice system? Oh, no, wait, that's corrupted as well because they're going to try and render someone politically ineligible or they're actively involved in suppressing speech. All right. We have this Center for Disease and Control. What do we? Oh, no, wait, hold on a second. That's also been politicized. And none of these people are subject to the same system that they run. Hey, if you're still watching this, I appreciate it. And let's just shoot straight. Obviously, you have a lot of time on your hands. You're not doing anything today. So comment below. It helps with the YouTube algorithms from the overlords, or just watch one of these other. If you want to kill some more time, watch this video here. It's going to be very similar. And shoot, I rolled over my headphone cord. It doesn't just click. Is that broken?